guys, how you doing? Taylor here with your weekly player ratings segment again. Waking up this morning, Orlando playing at a 2-2 draw with Columbus Crew up in Ohio yesterday. A comeback. It's another 2-2, our eighth 2-2 of the season, but we're undefeated again on the road. A difficult period really in many ways. 3 away games on the road for Bobby Murphy to contend with. Red Bulls we lost obviously, Caps last week a 2-2 and a 2-2 again this week. And in the circumstances, really, we'll take it with Jason Christ coming in and hopefully, giving us the impetus to reach those playoff spots going forward. But another draw for Orlando last night. So without further ado, let's get into the player ratings. In Alston, 6 out of 10 for me last night. Part of the problem with Alston last night is usually very consistent. Don't get me wrong. Usually mark him around 7 most weeks. But Corey Ash seemed to have the better of him in that first half. The former Orlando fullback himself, of course. Was raiding up that left wing, getting loads of crosses in. Alston didn't really seem to have an answer of stopping it. So for that reason, 6 out of 10. David Mateos, 5 out of 10 again for me, the same mark as Hines. Both Hines and Mateos really aren't working as a 2 at centre-back for Bobby Murphy at the moment. Just too many mistakes really. He's playing with a man with no confidence at the moment, Mateos, and it's showing unfortunately for the Spaniard. Particularly in the second half, I think it was, he made a rash clearance out, and Crew obviously had a lot of quick players on the counter, Mebwati, Kamara, Merrim, etc. And Mateos just didn't look comfortable with the pace of Crew on the attack, and he was unnerved on a lot of occasions. It's still not as convincing as we need it to be from Mateos. Hopefully Christ can work with, Jason Christ can work with both he and Hines going forward. But 5 out of 10 only for me. Seb Hines, 5 out of 10 for me, the Englishman. Captain again for the second game in a row, obviously, with Breck Shea missing. He was captain at Caps as well last week, of course, Hines. But Tony Charney's first goal, I mean, you are never, ever going to see an easier goal scored by the opposition. He waltzed his way through. He walked through on Bendik's goal and then got a free shot. Should never, ever happen in football, that, The defence was all over the place, but particularly Hines, he just didn't get a footing, He improved, to be fair, let's be honest, he improved second half. But Orlando's defence that's been causing them so many problems all season, they weren't there again last night when we needed them in that first half. So for that reason, 5 out of 10 Hines. Bowden, 7 out of 10, Luke Bowden. We gave him an 8 last week at Vancouver. I thought he was brilliant last week. So key in a lot of Orlando attacks, from the left back position. We know Bods gets up there and has great delivery. Only 7 this week. A solid enough performance, I suppose. He's great with the ball at his feet, to be fair. There was a lot of actual loose passes, overcooked passes coming into Bods, but he managed to control it, get it down on his left foot and try and get forward when he could. Quite solid, really. Nothing more than a 7 for Luke Bowden. So Vando Carrasco, only 6 out of 10 for me this week for Carrasco. Has obviously had his big chance in recent weeks from the start. He's usually a sub, to be honest with you, or has been in Major League Soccer so far. Hikita and Sarens usually the chosen 2 in the middle of the park. But Carrasco got a start. Again, the way Tony Charney got the opener last night to make it 1-0, he came right through the heart of the team. Carrasco was found wanting again. Doesn't always put his foot in, to be fair, and when he does, it's sometimes mistimed with Carrasco. Only 6 out of 10 for me last night. Sarens, 7 out of 10 for me. Sarens not picking up bookings, he plays in the heart of that engine room, where it can get a bit feisty at times, but the last couple of weeks he's gone without a booking, so that's something. He's keeping his game very tidy. Whether his tenacity's been taken away, I'm not sure, but both he and Carrasco have done a pretty decent job on the whole in recent games when it's been tough in the post-Adrian Heath era, of course. So I'm going to give Sarens 7 out of 10. Bendik, 8 out of 10. It's another high mark for Joe this week. We know he gave away the penalty in the first half when he pulled down Ola Kamara, who got to the ball first and obviously won the spot kick for Crew. Got booked Bendik, of course, but he was really sold up the river with that by his defence, really. Not Bendik's fault. He obviously earns more, time in the eyes of Orlando fans because of all the great performances he's put in the recent weeks. Really good from Bendik again. Late on, he made a fantastic save. I can't remember the Crew attacker, but he made a fantastic save, and we might have lost it late on as well. So 8 out of 10, Joe Bendik. G. Barry, 6 out of 10 for me. was really good actually last week. We've got to remember, the former UCF Knights player. He's raw. He's a raw prospect in Major League Soccer. Got a rare start last week at Caps for injuries and suspensions, of course, and did really, really well in the circumstances. More quieter really this week from Barry. Didn't really get into the game. The few touches he had, didn't really do a lot with it. Was substituted off in the second half. Only 6 out of 10 really. Evan Molino, 8 out of 10. Really good performance from Molino last night. To be honest with you, from the off he was struggling to get in it, like a few other Orlando players like Barry and Baptista. We actually tweeted out at the time on our live blog that because he had a few chances, he had a few chances, Molino, when he was running at the Crew defence. We just needed to give him the ball more, really. He was really good on the ball. We know Molino is. Last night we said in our live blog that he was the key, for Orlando getting back in the game. As it turned out, he was. Obviously got his goal. I thought Molino was really good last night. Everything good that Orlando did in that second half, he was part of it as well. So really good to have Molino back in form. 8 out of 10. Larin, 7 out of 10 last night. We put a poll out on our Orlando City UK Twitter during the game last night. We said how many goals could have Larin actually scored. 5 was one of the options, and really, on another night he might have got 5. Got 1 in the end. Got the header that got Orlando back in the game, of course, for 2-2. Great comeback, within a 5-minute spell in the second half. But Larin could have even won it late on. He had a great strike on his right foot. Steve Clark got round it brilliantly to smother him. But Larin really could have had 5. He hit the woodwork very early on in the first half. Hit the bar then in the second half. Just after the break. He was always a threat in the game, but I'm only going to give him a 7 because he could have had more. A player of his quality, he's been linked with Benfica Sporting Lisbon in the recent week. We know how good Larin is. He could have had more. So for that reason, 7 out of 10. Carlos Revis, 6 out of 10. Twofold really for Revis because we know he's a live wire, a speed machine. When he came on, you could see that he was just striking fear into that Crew defence. When he got on the ball, and was using his pace, but the same old story with Revis, unfortunately. It was summed up when he did an air shot, he did an air kick, was too fast for himself almost, and completely missed the ball, which the Crew supporters in the crowd, were obviously making fun of. But then actually Revis got onto his own ball that he fluffed, and got a cross in. It's kind of the way he plays, it's a bit mental really, for the most part, but 6 out of 10 really, Revis. Julio Baptista, 6 out of 10. Only going to give Baptista 6 out of 10 last night because he really struggled to get in the game. If you watch it back, he's been such a good presence in recent weeks, using his strength. Obviously won the penalty that he blazed over at Caps last week, but he really struggled to get into this game last night. Was on the fringes of it for the most part. Not the best performance really from Baptista. There's more to come with him though. There is. It was just one of those days. 6 out of 10. On to the substitutes now, and the main man Kaku was back last night, getting an Orlando performance in before he heads off for the MLS All-Star game against Arsenal, of course, next week. He was back in purple last night, which was a few fans, obviously questioning Kaku's commitment at the moment. For me, it's brilliant having him back, regardless. We would have liked to have him more, this season so far. It's just not been the case, unfortunately. But he was back in action last night, and I thought Kaku was fantastic when he came on. For me, the whole game turned on the substitution of Kaku and Carlos Revis into the game. He replaced Barry and Baptista in that second half, and Kaku controlled it when he came on. He was central to everything good that Orlando were doing. You could see that Crew, obviously, they've been shipping points. They've been draw specialists like Orlando have been at home. They get nervous when they get in front. So it proved. Kaku, the most admirable thing about his game is that he releases the ball at the very last minute. He's never rushed, and with going through the centre of the team, he was doing that. He was brilliant for me. 8 out of 10. Sub Christian Hikita, 6 out of 10. Obviously wasn't on too long, and this is a role that he's been cast into in recent weeks with Carrasco and Sarens being the chosen midfield 2 from the start. But I'm going to give Hikita a 6, and I wasn't on long, but he made an absolutely fantastic tackle. I can't remember the Crew attacker. But as the game was very topsy-turvy at the end, could have gone either way, Hikita made a fantastic challenge. It might have been Merrim, I'm not totally sure though, but he came out of nowhere and did a slide tackle on him to get Orlando back on the front foot, and it was a brilliant challenge. So for that alone, 6 out of 10.